silence.
Insert cricket sounds here. Chirp, 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 chirp.
What were we supposed to be talking about?
Time travel.
Oh, yeah.
And see, that's the beautiful thing about those pauses like that. We can edit them. It's almost like time travel.
We?
Okay. You.
I'm not in the business of we. I am in the business of me.
Okay.
Now we're in the business of weed.
Weed.
Duh.
Can you get weed in Mexico?
You could. You can get a lot of things in Mexico.
Tijuana.
We're not going to Tijuana.
God damn it.
No donkey shows for you this trip.
Just once in my goddamn life, I would want to see a donkey show. I missed my chance.
I'm a thief of joy, and I do not wish to bring you
Don't
any
worry.
pleasure.
That whole area is God's blind spot. So.
Shit. Otherwise known as Satan's asshole.
Just watch Clerks 2.
Right?
Well, they don't show the good part.
Right? They
don't show dick going in, which is a real problem for me.
It's all about the insertion.
Oh my god.
Segue for time travel.
There's some time we're not going to get back.
I know, right?
I don't know how many times I say that.
Well, first, let's start with the question that came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you travel back in time, does that mean that time travel has always existed?
No, because you cannot travel backwards in time.
Why not?
Because that isn't the way time works. Time is more like a river. It is a path. You can always go forward in time, but you can never go back.
See, I disagree with that.
I disagree.
Because that's saying that time is linear, which it's not.
Yeah.
No. Time from our perspective is linear.
Well, it depends on what your perspective is, because I do not think that time is linear.
Our perspective is as a three-dimensional object. As a three-dimensional object, time can only ever be linear.
Yes, but the concept of time is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, yes, I agree.
Yes, the
time
concept of time.
Time
not
in and of
time
itself.
now. Concept of time.
Wait.
Time is an
Time
abstract.
when?
Soon.
Then?
Yes.
Now.
But no, so my argument is that if you travel back in time, that time travel then has always existed.
Yes.
Because if you go back in time, you then have the technology to go forward or anywhere else in that time. Therefore, it is existed because you brought it back to that time.
But only if you brought it back to that
That's
time.
right. But you can only ask said question if you have gone back in time.
Fuck. I am not nearly high enough for this yet.
Wait, stand by. I'm just trying to think. Because I'm going to be honest, this one's a little bit over my head. Not that anybody's surprised by this.
But you've seen a lot of time travel based movies and shows.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be
have-
talking about that because that's where everyone's fascination with time travel comes from is how different people portray it.
Well, and for me, it's not so much, is it time travel just within the time of this dimension? Or how would that work? Can you travel into other dimensions? And would that be the same as time travel?
That's interdimensional travel, though. I feel that is different than time travel.
Okay. Just so we're clear. Keeping it just to time, in our dimension.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not the TARDIS.
Forward and backward.
We're not Doctor Who.
So disappointing.
But, I mean, that is a factor that comes into play is our perception of what time is also skewed by the media we surround ourselves with.
What time is it now?
I don't even think what time it is really what time it is.
All at any given time, is it not the present, past, and future all at once?
No.
Yeah.
It is for some portion of you.
True.
Because time is not linear. We only perceive it that way. So we are living now, but me 2 weeks from now has already lived this moment.
That is a problem for future me.
I use that all the time.
For pretty sure we've all said that.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck that future guy.
Fucking schmuck.
And then now
God
Gabe says,
damn
fuck
it.
that past
Fuck
guy.
that past guy.
Past guy's an asshole.
Pretty much. Fuck them all. They all suck.
Indeed.
Past, present, and future me all suck.
Future me is saying, past me, you're a fucking dick.
I'm old.
I'm older now than when this conversation began.
Only if I knew then what I know now.
I think time travel in and of itself is it's one of those fantasies that as humans we allow ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are regrets we have.
Oh yeah, how many times have we said, "Oh, if only I could go back knowing what I know now."
Mm-hmm.
And if you were actually presented with the opportunity to do that, I'm pretty sure most people would jump on it.
Yep, I'd buy Bitcoin, Amazon, and copyright the word moist.
No Apple? I mean, come on.
You
No,
may
fuck
hate
that guy.
You may hate the brand, but I gotta respect the money.
There's plenty of other things you could buy into.
That's true.
Diversify.
Ah.
So regrets aside, there's many other reasons for time travel. Changing things that you're not supposed to, because you know people are gonna do it.
Oh fuck.
Paradox. Seeing things that you can only see in books or in what people can try and decipher from the past. I mean, there's so much to see.
Oh,
People would try to prove all of their religions.
Atlantis. What actually happened to the
Bigfoot.
Maui statues on Easter Island.
That's what I see. I would time travel back to when somebody spotted Bigfoot.
There you go.
No, I was
That'd be
genuinely
pretty
more,
fucking cool.
Thinking about, the building of the pyramids and
Dinosaurs.
I don't think I really want to tango with dinosaurs.
But that-
I've seen that movie. I know how it ends.
That proves a point, though. Your scientists were so preoccupied about whether or not they stopped to think about whether or not they should.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the ability to time travel, it's not always ever going to be used for passive or benign purposes.
I mean, the same could be said about any and everything.
And that's the point. Do you really want to fuck around with time? Knowing that whether you have good intentions or not, it could be used for evil.
Some asshole's gonna do it.
Absolutely.
May as well be me.
I mean,
that's
how
the
many
asshole.
movies have we seen about that where they do it because they can?
Terminator.
Well,
Paycheck.
I mean, because you can. I mean, we just finished Sword Art Online. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Alicization. Somebody is going to do it eventually anyway. Period. So.
Okay.
Why
So if you come to the inevitability or the final conclusion that time travel will always ever exist because it will exist, that means it has existed, then you also have to draw the conclusion that because it will exist, it does exist, it has existed, it will be used for evil because it has been used for evil.
What's to say it's not? What's to say that future you isn't using it for evil by coming back and changing your choices and trying to minimize your regrets, and it's just fucking up your own life anyways?
I mean, that's kind of the point, is for good or evil, even benign purposes can have bad conclusions.
Oh, yeah.
It's the butterfly effect.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, you step on a twig, and all of a sudden we're still in the dark ages today.
You
Or
know.
we shit rainbow sherbet.
I mean,
You decided to drive left instead of driving right on your way to work that day,
And you got stuck in a time loop.
You avoided a accident or died.
Hey, Donna Noble.
I don't want to think about being stuck in time loops. That's kind of what deja vu
You
reminds me
can't
of.
talk about time travel without referencing Doctor Who in some way. Anyways, you're always going to end up with some kind of trope because Doctor Who's fucking done it all.
Well, I mean, think about, what was that? Time Traveler's Wife? Where he's, popping in and out throughout her life. That one kind of took me a few times to watch before I even understood it, but...
That's just the Doctor and River, but from River's point of view.
Forwards and backwards and backwards and forwards.
They're always meeting up in reverse.
Just
Because the day they first met is the day he last sees her.
Moving on. I'm saying if I got the opportunity, I would take it. Good, bad, or otherwise, I may as well not miss out on an opportunity. Because like I said, if it's not me that fucks it up, there's a really good, strong possibility that someone's going to.
Agreed.
But like I said, I don't know that I would so much go back and affect things for my life, but for me, I genuinely would like to go back and see just some major historical events or really cool things from the past.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. There's so much cool shit to see and to learn and experience.
Yeah.
But I would like to be the observer and try to minimize my impact. But because, yeah, I mean, I step on the wrong twig and I come back and who knows what I'm coming back to. Or you just commit your life to it and just know that by making that first jump, by making that first choice, whether you go backwards or forwards, what you come back to is never going to be the same.
And that is the other conclusion is the moment you make that jump, you, by nature of jumping backwards or forwards, no matter what, you're creating a different timeline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, essentially, every choice you make is a different timeline.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, multiverse theory.
Variance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had the ability to travel through time, would you rather go backwards or forwards? If you could only pick one.
If I could only pick one.
Forwards.
You want to see what the future holds?
I don't care what the future holds.
Then why forwards?
Better than here.
How do you know,
You can go 2 miles in either direction and achieve that. Oh, that is a tough one.
So for me, I know I'd rather go back.
So if you could only pick one, you have unlimited travel backwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so unlimited travel backwards or forwards.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either go from your time forward. Now, what happens if, so let's say we went to 2024, but we want to go see 2023. That's technically back, but still forward. You can do that too?
Yes, because it's ahead of the current timeline.
Okay,
you
so anything
originated
ahead
from.
or behind the current timeline.
I'm still going to stick with forwards.
Yeah? You want to see how far we go and where we progress, or?
Well, and think about it in terms of perspective. Somebody who was born in the year 1000, if they were to travel forward to the year 2000, the world was going to seem infinitely better to them by nature of technology and civilization, right? Wouldn't the same be true if somebody from the year 2000 traveled forward to the year 3000?
In theory.
So why not try it out?
How much time can you spend there?
I honestly haven't put that much thought into it.
Well, because depending on how far into the future you travel, you may have to worry about running into yourself.
Right. If I travel to the year 2024, obviously 2024 me is going to exist there.
Maybe.
If I don't die between now and 2024. If I don't exist there, that also tells me something that I already know about myself or didn't know about myself. Which means when I go back to 2022, I'm going to know that sometime between 2022 and 2024 I die.
And then that's when you off yourself. And that's why you didn't make it to 2024.
Bingo.
Dun dun dun!
Self-fulfilling prophecies and paradoxes.
And this is why I'd rather go back than forward. I don't want
This
to
is why I don't fuck around with time travel.
yet. How about you? Back or forward? What'd you land on?
I would play in the backfield.
Yeah.
There's so much to go see and explore. I mean, there's obviously infinite forward as well as backwards, too.
Yeah.
I mean...
We only know about the start of recorded history, but what happened before that?
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'd like to go back.
See where it all began.
And it's, for me, it's safer. I don't like the unknown. That's why I'm not a big fan of space. I'm kind of a pussy about that kind of shit.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
space
to
isn't
me
really
is
unknown.
like
There's just
open
nothing.
water. No,
There's
thank
just
you.
too much.
It's a vacuum. There's nothing there. Mystery solved. Congratulations.
But yes, I mean, in theory, it would be kind of neat to see where we go and end up. But like you said, then for me, you run into those self-fulfilling prophecies, or if I know that, you know, shit's not going to be great, what else, what am I continuing to live for if in 5 years, well, shit, right, we're going 5 days, nuclear war breaks out, and
that's...
Then you come back, and you got 5 days to build a bomb shelter, which means you get a desk table from the 80s.
Duck and cover.
That's all you need.
it's just, yeah. the more you know, knowledge is power, true, but it can also be crippling.
Well, and again, I'm going to reference Doctor Who, Pompeii.
Ugh. Heartbroken.
His decision to save the family because he couldn't bear it. He knew the entire city was going to burn. Everybody was going to die, you know. And was it Rose that convinced him? Donna convinced him to save the family.
Yeah.
Like, you time traveling back in time, no matter where you travel, eventually you're going to encounter a situation of great pain, and you're going to have to deal with that moral struggle of, do I intervene and save everybody, or do I let history run its course?
Gotta let history run its course. In theory.
Are you sure you can do that?
I can. I don't give a fuck.
And that's the thing. Everybody says that. Everybody thinks that. Or the other half of the spectrum.
Give a fuck about you or your
until they
kids.
get to that actual choice. You know, if you're faced with the knowledge of going backwards to the year 1984 and living, you know, through history for whatever reason, would you stop 9/11? Nope. Why?
No. Because, and that, I guess that's the thing about going back. Like I said, my intent would not be to change or adjust anything, because what's happened. I'm not going to stop Hitler. I'm not going to stop 9/11 or any other...
And that's another one, you know, go back and punch baby Hitler.
I mean, would it be fun? Yes, no. But, I mean, I'm not going to stop the Salem witch trials. I'm not going... There's been, so many things and events in history that are just bad. But they happened.
Now, let's go back to your earlier theory. Because time travel inevitably will exist, therefore it means it does exist and it always has existed.
Mm-hmm.
Which also means that people will use it, by nature of it existing, for good and evil, both past, present, and future. So does it also not stand to reason that an organization or persons or group of people will, by nature of everything else already existing, try to change history?
Well, yeah, we already determined that was going to happen.
So what you're saying, though, is if they're going to go and change history, it won't be the history I know anyway.
So even though you yourself may come to the resolute decision not to interfere with history, by nature of time travel existing, somebody will try to change history.
That's on them.
And to your knowledge, it would still be history, but it may just be different.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know.
That's what I said, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Because by the time you figured it out, you'd be in a different timeline.
Yeah. Or like I said, yes, the history I've always known is the altered history.
Or, the moment that they change history, your universe splits into two.
I think you just split my brain into.
The original timeline and the altered timeline.
Stop hurting my brain.
No. Never.
I would suppose, from a different perspective, we are already time travelers. We're just time traveling at the rate of 1 second per second.
That seems thin.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that.
No, your rate of travel is 1 second per second.
No, I get
the
that.
speed limit.
I need some linear rail mods.
Talking about the basically rate of speed of time travel, where do you stand on Einstein's theory of relativity? The faster you travel, the slower time goes, in a nutshell.
I mean, that makes sense, just for the fact that you're going so much faster than everything else, but is it just perception that things look like they're going so slow because you're hauling so much ass?
Well, that's kind of the point. Is the theory is the faster you approach the speed of light, the slower time goes for you. So let's say, for example, I were to, travel close to the speed of light, the time around me would be now the year 2024. But for me, I've only actually existed another 2 hours.
Is this like the Flash and the time paradox?
Flashpoint?
Flashpoint paradox?
Kind of.
God, that was good. That was really,
It's like clock
really good.
stoppers.
And that's where I come to the conclusion that as a three-dimensional being, you can only travel forwards because you can speed up the flow of time but you can never reverse it
So far.
yet.
What if you go so fast in reverse?
Well, I mean,
That's why it's called counterclockwise.
Worked
Yeah.
for Superman.
You'll
and
become
Superman,
a was real quick.
well, I'm just okay.
Superman just spun the Earth backwards and saved Lois Lane.
Thinking about what you were saying, though, as far as traveling towards the speed of light.
The closer you approach the speed of light, slower time travels for you.
And see, once again, me being a three-dimensional being, as you pointed out, and only thinking very linearly, I'm thinking we're approaching light, but light is
Not quite. Because
everywhere.
you're not approaching light, you're approaching the speed of light. So the faster you travel, the slower time goes for you.
Yeah, we're not going to try and explain this to me tonight to where it makes sense. There's not enough time.
You're too sober.
There's not enough time in the that too.
Yeah.
Not enough time in the podcast.
And I could be off my rocker. I'm high. Like, the fuck do I know?
Good thing this is a 4-parter.
Shit.
I know damn well many government agencies have experimented with trying to figure out time travel
hell
and are
yeah.
probably still currently experimenting with
fuck
time
yeah.
travel. All for the sole purpose of being shitty people.
Does the government ever do anything that isn't shitty when it comes to their trying to experiment or do XYZ?
Damn U.S. government.
Damn U.S. government!
And the Ideology podcast has been canceled.
Hashtag cancel culture.
Shit.
We got some black dildos with ropes coming in my windows.
Fuck.
I mean, like, I'm genuinely trying to think, other than maybe the space program and space travel, what really good things do they do?
I don't think it's something as clear-cut as anything being intentionally good or intentionally evil. I think with everything the government does, it is a weighing of both sides. Because everybody has to find their, I guess, reason for being.
Well, when humanity is shitty, that doesn't help, though. Kind of tips the scales one way or the other, and let's face it, pretty sure we've talked about this before.
No matter who or what gets to the time travel solution first, it will be used for evil. It always, no matter how good, even if it's some random ass dude that figures this out in
And
his
that's-
fucking
yes.
basement, at some point in time, he will do something evil
Yes.
with it.
Yes.
It is going to happen because
Yes.
that is,
Power.
yep.
Or
Ultimate power
if,
corrupts absolutely.
even if he doesn't use it for evil, there will be somebody else who will attempt to take it in order to use it for evil.
Unless he
Every man
is
has their price.
unless he is a complete shut-in who hates fucking everybody and keeps it a good secret.
Or he figures it out and you just said the same thing. Fuck. Fuck.
Have another Pathfinder, you'll be fine.
God damn it. Yes.
I think that the dude down the way with all the strollers and ladders has figured out time travel. Because he hates everybody. It clearly says so on the door of his house.
Have you seen it?
And he's got all of his windows and exits blocked with shit everywhere. The only way in or out of that house is the front door.
And he's got it spray painted on there. I live there, or I live here. You don't.
Keep out.
What
I've
the
seen him
shit?
a handful of times, and he walks with a wagon, probably to go get groceries or whatever, and that's it. Other than that, I have no idea. He's got a fleet of strollers as long as his house, super deep, like you
mean,
can't get to the house.
I have an arsenal of Nerf guns. I can't say that he's completely crazy.
I'm not saying that he's crazy, but I'm just...
What's he hiding?
Why the strollers?
Well, he's also got a whole bunch of ladders, too,
Yeah.
like brand new Werner
Yeah.
extendable
Ladders
ladders.
I can
and stuff.
understand. Having a good ladder, like, that's some good shit.
No, but
Like
he's got
20
like
to 30?
ladders.
Well, if the first 19 break,
If the shoe fits, wear it.
like,
And he's got like 60 wheelchairs all folded up next to each other.
Yeah, they're literally just butted up. Like, you cannot
trailers in
get
front
there.
of every window.
Weird.
Foiled
I have
up.
no idea. He's preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
Foiled
Like, he's that one crazy scientist character you meet in Far Cry 5. That was an oddly specific reference, sorry.
It's quite possible, but what's to say that he hasn't figured out something that is inherently good or evil?
I was thinking Tesla.
The car?
Nikola.
Oh.
He figured out time travel.
I have also had that theory at times.
He figured it out, and he shut the fuck up about it, because he knew that if he was going to say something about it, Edison would have fucking taken it.
Yeah.
And used it for evil.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, he was already being watched and followed so closely, and
Because Edison was fucking taking the shit.
yeah.
Well, I mean, just think about how many of the historic people have probably shut the fuck up about a lot of things because they figured something out that they shouldn't have, and they're like, this is not going to end well for anybody.
I'm not going to tell this to anybody because the U.S. government's going to come and take it from me and
Not just
hide
the
it
US
in Area
government.
51.
At least I'm safe inside my mind.
Are you though?
Inside my mind.
Nope. I try and stay the fuck out of there.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a dark and dangerous place. Stay out. Keep
It's
out.
moist.
Ew.
Now,
It's too true.
let's change our perspective a little bit. Time travel exists. Have we been visited by time travelers?
Well, that depends, because if they're traveling as fast or faster than the speed of light, we wouldn't see them.
Until they arrived.
Well, what if they're able, because to them they're going slow enough, they're going normal speed, but they're invisible to us, so they could essentially do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Kind of. So let's say, for whatever reason, ancient Atlanteans, because we don't know what happened to Atlantis, right? Atlantis sank.
We do know.
Atlantis
The
sank
U.S.
into
government
the depths,
happened.
right? Stargate. It
Stargate.
was the Stargate program. No,
They
Atlantis.
9/11'd Atlantis. That was the first 9/11.
Fuck. It's a false flag operation.
Yep.
Atlantis is actually still there, but they won't let you actually see the coordinates of it because they've blocked it out on Google Maps.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's somewhere in the middle of Nevada.
Shit.
Bermuda Triangle. No, ancient Atlanteans, nobody knows what actually happened to the city of Atlantis.
Right.
All we see, what was it, Plato that wrote that Atlantis sank into the depths, whatever. What if Atlanteans figured out time travel? Or they didn't figure out time travel, they figured out how to travel close to the speed of light. So they traveled, from their perspective, forwards in time. But to them, time hasn't really actually passed. Maybe it's passed just a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've arrived to modern day.
Mm-hmm.
They've slowed down from the speed of light, so they're no longer traveling close to the speed of light. Now their rate of time has also caught up to what we would perceive as normal time. Would they not have then now essentially time traveled? They have time traveled to the future?
Yeah.
You look lost.
I'm not even gonna. Nope. I follow the general basic premise of what you're saying.
And since that could exist, then it therefore does exist. So have we been visited by time travelers?
Hell, you wouldn't know.
I don't know. I mean, you see, those little pop-up clickbait type bullshit things where it's like, here's
These
this
things are
picture
gonna
from
happen.
the 1400s. Here's this picture from and
Keanu
it's-
Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those kinds of things that, they're probably just bullshit, but it makes you kind of go, is it possible? Anything's possible.
And then would be the other question, would we know about it?
Do they know about it?
Well, it all depends on if they had a clear understanding of what they were trying to do or if they accidentally stumbled
And that
upon
would
time
be
travel.
another one, yeah.
Like
Or-
you just found a random ass spot in the middle of nowhere, walked into, and then bam,
Or
you
if they
found a
survived
wormhole. That too.
Maybe they found it, but they didn't live long enough to tell anybody about it.
That was time travel 1.0.
They time traveled into the middle of an active volcano. They time traveled into the middle of a nuclear reactor. They time traveled into the depths of the Mariana Trench. Like, come up with a scenario.
Well, I mean,
That would suck.
that is what happened in the time traveler's life. Is he time traveled right into like a hunting zone or whatever and got shot?
Oh, shit.
Like,
What?
spoiler alert. Yeah.
I've never seen
How many people out there right now, people, agencies, governments, whatever, do you think have this as a point of focus? Like, realistically.
I'd say the superpowers, for sure.
They may not have it as a point of focus, but they may fund a grant that some researcher may use to research that topic.
Possible.
Kind of like government contracted research.
Right.
Through like what some
Like universities.
College.
Yeah,
University.
somebody that's studying their PhD at MIT might be doing research on particle physics and time travel and all that, and maybe
Like the Flash.
maybe they're getting a grant from the U.S. government to study that.
And that's in one of those positions where if you figure it out, you shut the fuck up.
Bingo.
You nuke
Nope,
the
I didn't
servers,
figure it
you
out.
fucking delete the data, you
There
drill
you
holes
go.
in the hard drives.
You're gonna
Or
be
You
You're
disappear.
Yep.
You're gonna be replacing it.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Like, nope, didn't work. Bye.
so sorry, cannot complete. Thank you.
And,
Bye bye.
I mean, has that already happened?
Who knows? That's
We'll never know.
Could you time travel back to that specific point in time?
Shit.
Just get lucky?
Now, let's say that person did figure it out. Did they shut the fuck up about it? Or did they tell the government about it and the government shut them the fuck up for them?
That's a good point. And it is highly possible
I mean,
because
that'd
that's
be my
never
fear.
happened in history.
Never,
That'd be
not
my
once.
big thing. Yes, it was. Yeah, here you got this. Figured it out. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so guess what? You don't exist anymore. You never did exist. This whole research thing you did doesn't exist anymore. And you are now this person.
If they even let you leave.
No.
Yeah. You know who figured out time travel? JFK. And the government shut him the fuck up.
Shit. Well, I still got money on Tesla. I'm sorry. I got money on Tesla.
I'd say it's highly possible that
Elon
a
Musk
few
actually
people
is
have
Tesla.
figured it out.
You say Elon Musk is Tesla.
Yes.
Yep, he just decided to create PayPal. He's like, fuck this electricity. It's all about the money.
Yeah. He traveled from the past to the future. Why else would he name his company Tesla? I mean, dude's pretty fucking smart.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, not outside the realm of possibility.
Let's say the government did have the capability to travel in time. If it did in this point in time now, I guess we'd never know if they used it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they alter a past timeline, then our history is what we know.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, the government went back and let's say stopped 9/11 for whatever, change that.
Yeah.
Then we would just have no prior memory of 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Our memories from the point of 9/11 on would be altered.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be no existence of any of the memorabilia or anything like that because there would be no need to create it.
Or
Be like the date June 3rd. It holds no meaning. But what if it used to?
they would. It's just it would exist in a alternate universe, an alternate reality.
Right.
Well, it's
Sure.
like, I'm just thinking of a very basic example. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone here has seen Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the Twin Pines Mall, but then he hits the tree. So when they come back around to the same timeline,
It's
now
not
it's
one pine.
the one
One
pine.
pine.
Because that tree's, no
Mhm.
longer there. So those types of things in that timeline that is now there, it's the
Mhm.
one
But
pine mall.
the Twin Pines Mall still exists.
Just
It just existed in the original timeline.
yes, it's
No,
not like it
new
completely
one.
doesn't exist. It's just
Yes.
no longer in the memories of being
It's
there.
no longer in the new timeline.
Yes. I'm just trying to think though. I feel, could be wrong, if the government did have that ability, they're not using it.
Are you sure?
I don't feel like our government is in a strong enough state economically, financially, or anything else to show that they would have benefited from utilizing something that important.
I think that human technology, the way it is, we cannot achieve what we need to actually time travel yet. I think the physics and the math is there. The actual hardware is not.
Let's look at it from the movie Paycheck. You can see into the future and get information and all of that stuff, but that's not necessarily time travel. But
No.
it's still traveling into the future to get information, and it can only be things that you would see in the future. So you are essentially traveling on your own timeline
Mm-hmm.
to see what's going to happen in your future.
Okay.
Like that's so Raven.
Well, much farther than that.
Now we're getting into a realm where the fantasy and the reality are kind of merging, because now we're talking more about like almost clairvoyance, or maybe like almost like a Minority Report type, where you're getting information from the future, even though you yourself are not actually traveling physically.
But is that still a form of time travel? Because time is not linear, like we had already discussed. Future you has already done what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So you essentially could see into your own life into the future.
You're basically looking or observing into your own timeline.
Yeah.
Or from a different perspective, it is actually time travel, but it's not what we would consider conventional time travel, because it's not a physical object that's traveling.
Correct.
But rather maybe a signal, a wave, because something is transmitting that information to the past. That is what's actually time traveling. And that might be something that's more plausible than a physical human. Because think about like our TV waves. You know, we've been theorizing that TV waves travel out in space forever and ever and ever. So somebody could be, in theory, on a different planet right now watching I Love Lucy as it was being broadcast on the air. Would it not be a way of saying that that signal has now traveled to the future? From when it was first broadcast to now, it has now traveled to the future. It took the long way around, but it did travel.
Just like the machine in the movie, Paycheck, because that machine now exists, it already exists in the future.
Yes.
So you have your transmitter from there to communicate backwards.
Oh, God.
Time is trippy.
Yeah. And, I mean, that...
Wobbly wobbly.
Now, how could we send a signal backwards in time? You need to have that signal
theory,
approach.
you couldn't.
Well, you have the signal approach the speed of light, and then if speed of light creates... So, speed of light would be as your velocity reach infinite, then the other end would be... Oh, you would have to go past the speed of light. So until we figure out a way to take a signal and make it travel faster than light itself can travel, we would never be able to actually travel backwards.
And we certainly have no way to do that right now.
Yet. Now, do you think wormholes or black holes could be used for time travel?
More like portals.
Kind of. More like a
slingshot
window to a different point in time.
They are a massive ball of energy.
I'm going to be honest.
And mass.
I'm not going to want to be the first to try it.
Well,
the theory is that time essentially stops.
I didn't say it would be a physical human, but a stream of particles, a signal, could travel through that.
Now, what you need to do is you need to get a social media influencer, get them out to a black hole. All right, TikTok it. Well, that didn't work.
Thoughts and prayers.
You can try everything once.
Well, so if you go off the theory that a black hole, because what is a black hole? Black hole is a super dense piece of mass. Yeah. And in theory, if that piece of mass is so super dense, it breaks through the fabric of space and time, because they are both just different axes of the dimension that we live in. Would it not be possible to travel through that to a different point in time?
I would like to think so.
If not necessarily a different point in space as well?
It's a portal to hell.
You just have to survive the trip.
Yeah. Which nobody knows.
Right.
It's not like we're manufacturing black holes to test them.
Yet.
Yeah, yet.
Fuck. Pretty sure I've seen that movie too.
I want to say, was it NASA or maybe it was somewhere in Europe? They detected a little while back a stream of energy or particles actually being emitted out of a black hole.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I read that a couple weeks ago.
And I just like, what the fuck?
I refuse to even read it. I'm like, I don't want to know.
That's not normal. Black holes don't emit shit
that we know of.
Like, light doesn't escape a black hole. No particle should be able to escape the gravity well of a black hole. So how is it emitting particles? How is it emitting anything?
Something's trying to come through.
Right?
Between that and the Japanese statue supposed to house
Nine-tailed fox.
demon breaks.
Naruto?
I'm loving these
Almost.
2020s. These are
Shit.
great. Fucking awesome years. No, I did see that, though. Like I said, I didn't read it because I genuinely, it freaked me out. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Don't need to know. But what if that is a future time traveler essentially trying to either travel back and unsuccessfully making it through, or maybe they are trying to transmit something through.
Mm-hmm.
Are they successfully emitting a signal to us?
Well, they're emitting something, whether it's the remnants of themselves or some signal they're trying to push through.
And the thing now, though, is if they attempted to do so, to travel back, it has happened, we have picked up on it, and it is now made news. That information is now present to them, knowing that they
Yes.
did it.
Yes. They now know that they failed.
Yeah. Well, that depends, though, because, like, let's say they try to put an apple through. Okay, it came through particleized, but it made it.
It did make it. It didn't make it the way we thought it was going to make it, but it did make it.
I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to decipher the signal and it's going to be something along the lines of Morse code. It'll probably just say something like send nudes.
It's just going to be a mushroom stamp emoji.
Fuck. So, from a metaphysical perspective, can you time travel problems?
I feel like I've been doing that my entire fucking
procrastinating?
I was
life.
gonna say what?
By
Ignoring it
procrastinating,
till
are you essentially just time traveling a problem to the future?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
You're clicking.
But in
Remind
that
me later.
sense, in that sense, almost everything is time travel. If you choose not to take a shit now, in the future, you've just time traveled your shit.
To that future point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is time travel.
Because we are constantly traveling through time. We are
That's right.
traveling through the time at a rate of a second per second.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star review. It'd really help us out. We're just a homegrown podcast looking to have some fun. And if you want to be on Hideology, submit a topic on hideologypodcast.com or connect with us on your favorite social platforms for latest news and updates. See you in a few weeks.
For my curly hair, rubbing cannabis lotion on my cock. I like smoking pot a lot.